I want to get your head now into how this works, right? So you've three things that you're three target areas that you're looking at. You're looking at targeting your audience, you're looking at targeting your journalists, and you've got to think about your business as well. Why you're doing this. Let's start with business first. Why are you putting out a press release? What's your objective in putting out a press release? Are you trying to increase sales? Are you trying to add some sort of intelligence to what's going on? Are you simply putting a comment in there? Are you just trying to boost your brand? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? And that dictates how you will write your press release. And we get back to this sort of why word again. So if I'm writing a press release where in my head I'm trying to increase sales, I've really got to be thinking, what's the advantage of people using my product? Why would someone buy it? And I've got to be quite sensible and clever in how I structure that. All right, got to be clever while I'm doing that. I want to put a release out which gets people saying, as they briefly go through your press release, briefly look at the article in a newspaper, that's for me. That's for me. That's why I go and buy it. And it might be that your product is environmentally friendly. It might be that your product doesn't use plastics. It might be that your product is good for health. It might be that your product is good for skincare, right? So if I'm trying to sell my product, if it's a sales thing, then you're looking at what are the touch points, what are the success points of somebody reading this. But you're not writing an advert, right? If you're writing an advert, a journalist is not going to pick it up. So you've got to be giving a story in this and giving some evidence as to why it's beneficial. So as an example, if we take the skin product, good for skin product, what I'm looking at here is some data, some proof point as to why this is good for skincare. And that's why we built this product, and it helps your skincare. That will bring people in to buy it. You're looking at sales, you're looking at sales. Think why you're doing it yourself. If it's just brand profile, we're opening our fourth shop. That's not going to increase sales. That increases your brand profile. So first thing to think about is, why are you doing this? Be really clear what your objective is, what's good at the end of it, right? If you're doing it to try and boost your sales, but actually you don't make any sales, you've not been very successful. So think about how you're constructing your press release and what it's for. Second group to think about is your audience. Why is your audience going to read this? Where's the human interest point? Where's the thing that makes a big difference to me? All right, so I'm a diabetic. If I see an article with something that's sugar-free, but it looks pretty tasty, I'm interested. I'm going to read it, right? So I am the audience you're targeting with that. Think audience. Why will they read this? Where's their interest point? Where's their human interest? Why is it relevant to the audience? And that might be different to your objective. And this is what I mean when I say you've got to be quite careful how you write this. So if I've decided I want to boost my sales, great. I know what I'm trying to do in terms of this release, but I'm not the one that's going to be buying the product. I now have to talk the language, and I've got to capture the interest of the audience who I want to be buying my product. How will their head be thinking about this? What are they going to be watching, and why is this of interest to them? So think so. Diabetic, great. Sugar-free, why this one's better. All right, so think how your audience is going to be thinking as well. The third thing to think about here is the journalist. Think journalist, right? You are selling to a journalist in a way. You're selling your press release to the journalist. You're not selling your product to the journalist, but you are selling the press release to the journalist. Why will he take it? Why will the journalist take your press release? Because they believe their audience, their readers, will be interested in reading it. If it's a radio program or if it's a TV program, they believe their listeners or their viewers will watch you. And all these things, the newspapers, TV, radio, they all monitor their levels of interest all the time. Every second, they're monitoring how many viewers have we got here. And, you know, if there's a program that's on there or a news story that's on there that suddenly somebody switches off and goes to somewhere else, that's recorded. That's recorded. And a journalist lives and dies by the number of views they're getting. They live and die by the number of people buying the newspapers. They live and die by that. So from the journalist perspective, you know, they're not interested in you particularly. They're not that interested in the story. What they're interested in is capturing the interest of their audience. Whoever's paying for their salary is what they're really interested in. And the journalist will often have an editor. So a few journalists will decide what they're going to write themselves, write it and just print it. They do online a bit, they do online. But in terms of print, that goes through an editor. And a lot online will go through an editor and get approved before it goes out. The editor will be the sift. So there may be 4 or 5 journalists who are putting in articles that they think should be going in a newspaper. And maybe just one gets through the editor because the editor's decided that's the one that people are going to read. So do think about the journalist. Why will your audience journalist be interested in this? All right, so there's almost a piece in here that you're taking 3 heads here. One is your own head, which is what am I trying to achieve? There's another head here, which is why would someone read this? And are they the right people? And then the third head that you're getting into is, am I sure I've convinced the journalist of that? Because the journalist, you know, has to be convinced about that.